Welcome to Gestalt Poetry Open Mic for March 2023. Thank you all so much for being here. I'm looking forward to a wonderful afternoon of poetry with our marvelous feature poet, David Leo Sirois. We are blessed to have each other in this space we create today. Stay tuned for Gestalt on April 22nd with feature poet Lily Rex. And please visit amyhoskins.com, the writing section for events and publications. Okay, let's get started. First off, we'll have the fellow poets. Then about midway, we'll have David, and then we'll be continuing with the open mic. If you'd like to perform and you don't see yourself on the list, please send me a direct message and I'll add you. Okay, and welcome, Rick. All right, here's a short spring poem I wrote yesterday and today to get us started. Ode to the Equinox. I am petals, understanding, breathing cells of awareness, layers of relativity, mine to yours, listening to the spring equinox, rush of blood to the surface, flush of new growth on old limbs. The ground is warming, releasing all forms of life, innumerable warm energies to be with for summer. Ancient fairies, we hear your softer song. Butterflies will grace us again with lightness. Ear to the ground, we hear earth moving, explosions of green life, petals of understanding, breathing cells of awareness. We hear your ancient magic song. Thank you. Okay. Now, is Alexandra here? I don't believe she is yet. Ian, would you like to go first?
Yes, I'm up. Yeah. Nice. Then I can have a nice rest, just to relax and listening to everybody else.
Exactly.
Glad to see David. Did plot it to turn out well. That's good. In the feature. Right. Okay. It's first one. If you've ever read any of Haruki Murakami's novels, you will know that some of his plots and scenarios can be quite surreal. And I think the most recent one I read was one called 1Q84. We read that, and it's where a couple of the characters, they step off this flyover in Tokyo and end up in a sort of parallel world where there's not one but two moons. So this is my take on it. So imagine a world with two moons. Imagine looking up at the night sky to see not one but two moons hanging there in plain view against the cold black of midnight, star-pricked and spangled, right there in your line of sight. A treat for the dull, jaded eye, but a little disconcerting, truth be told, to see there with the old familiar yellow orb, its shadowy sister, tainted by a sickly greenish hue, peeping from behind its older sibling satellite. Imagine your senses trembling with excitement, bemused by this peculiar vision in front of you, a parallel universe lurking like dark matter, suddenly manifesting in your convulsed mind. A little unsteady at first, the wonder of it, the only one aware, standing there staring up at this unique event. What would you think? What could you say? Would they look upon you sadly in a strange way, thinking you strangely made? And as you sway in awe, eyes wide, your senses stilled and numbed, would you feel a quiver deep inside, goosebumps pricked by a creeping chill, caught in some alien grip? But with passing time, novelty wears thin, becomes passé, then reality begins to bite. You sense a shift as the push and pull of not two, but now three bodies conjoined in conjugal motion, in rhythmic synchronicity. And as the first wave of nausea slides by, the gears of a new reality begin to grind, where you find yourself floating a castaway on the next rising tide. Okay, I'll let you figure out that, that ending. The second one, I had an eye test, my kind of regular sort of 2-yearly eye test the other week, and good news, I got told I had 20/20 vision, which was compensation for having light shine in your eyes. This is one's called 20/20 vision. As eye tests normally go, it follows the usual formalities. Can you look at this screen for me, please? Which line can you see clearly? Then a series of shapes, split screens and dots. Bright lights shone in my face, like being blindsided by some inconsiderate nighttime driver, carelessly forgetting to dip. But the cherry on top was when this delightful young lady announced I had 20/20 vision, which is some compensation for having to go through all this. Now, as I'm sitting perched in my usual spot in Cafe Nero's, looking out over Blackroad Street, I can claim with confidence that I'm seeing things more clearly than many people do. So when I recount my observations on life passing by in these verses that I write, you can rest assured that I'm giving it to you straight. Okay, and finally, I most recent, latest in a line of sonnets. So this is a springtime one, in a way, and dedicated to all poets. So it's called, subtitled, April is the Cruelest Month. Oh, the line from areas of your executive. April is the cruelest month, it is said, by poets who possess more skill than I. But March is even crueler still, as when the cruel March winds blow bitterly from the east, while dying poets seek their rest in warmer climes and choose their time to die. And those who read the secret runes know best as they look to the heavens for potential signs. But now's not the time to dwell on such things. While the sun is on its journey north, each new day gets warmer, and the birds in song in celebration of this newborn spring, and poets shake out the aches of winter's long sojourning to bring you rhyme and verses forth. Thank you.
That first one was so beautiful, and they're all so wise. So wise. Thank you. Just well done. Thank you so much. Is Fiona Ballantyne here? Okay. Lucia Daramu? Jeff Cottrill?
Yes, I'm here.
Yay.
Okay. So I'll give you a couple of relatively recent ones. I think some of you have heard them already, but this is called Synchronicity 3, and it's kind of partly inspired by the old Police song Synchronicity 2, if you remember that one. In the news today, we learn which new superhero movie we must see, and why it's different from the other superhero movies, and how it fits in with the superhero movie universe, so we can imagine ourselves as superheroes. And also we learn how much money it made this week. Meanwhile, in Ukraine, a soldier blows up a bridge and himself to stop a column of Russian tanks from advancing. In the news today, we learn which famous people said something stupid and why we must cast those stupid people out of society like lepers, and how we must erase their stupid names out of existence so we can bask in the glow of our moral purity. And also we learn what words we can't say anymore this week. Meanwhile, in Iran, a woman dies of mysterious head injuries after her arrest for refusing to wear a hijab. In the news today, we learn which celebrities are fucking which other celebrities, and which other celebrities are fucking which other celebrities, and which celebrities stop fucking which other celebrities so they can fuck completely different other celebrities. And also we learn what dresses they're wearing this week. Meanwhile, all over the world, human intervention is sparking wildfires and pollution, but people still keep having babies. So that was Synchronicity 3. And this one is called The Following Poem. The following poem contains strong language, suggestive content, graphic violence, and scenes depicting smoking and drug use. Viewer discretion is advised. The following poem contains flashing images, strobe lighting, subliminal messages, and rapid editing that may not be appropriate for all viewers. The following poem contains racial and sexist slurs, depictions of physical and psychological abuse, descriptions of self-harm, and other disturbing material that may offend or trigger viewer sensibilities. Please take the appropriate self-care. The following poem contains music by Justin Bieber and Nickelback. Please block your hearing if required. The following poem contains banal imagery, tired cliches, hackneyed similes, lazy metaphors, uneven rhythm, and inept alliteration. Feel free to roll eyes and sigh as desired. The following poem contains descriptions of oversexed chickens wearing lederhosen and shouting random phrases in Greek. The following poem contains weak arguments full of straw men, goalpost movements, false dilemmas, false equivalencies, red herrings, generalizations, slippery slopes, whataboutism, and reductio ad absurdum. The following poem contains hot takes, trolling, shaming, humble bragging, vague booking, spam, obscure texting lingo, and cat videos with corny music and misspelled subtitles. The following poem contains repeated content warnings about the poem itself, some of which tend to get silly or irrelevant. Please refrain from applauding if necessary. The following poem contains frequent Shakespeare quotations and gratuitous references to obscure Renaissance paintings and Baroque concertos. Please feel free to scream pretentious as a means of signaling your cultural modesty. The following poem contains depictions of disco dancing platypuses, giggling tomatoes, arrogant mice, gutless wonders, flamboyant gerbils, baby slugs screaming rude words at your child's kindergarten teacher, and waffle makers rife with ennui. The following poem is based on a true story. That was the following poem. I've done a little bit of media stuff lately, so I'll put some links to that in the chat right now.
The comedic genius that is Jeff Cottrill. Oh my gosh. Oh, you had me with quite a bit of the silly ones. Thank you. Let's see, is Belle Cushing here? Okay. Joy Johnson.
Already, okay. Well, I said I was going to read the one with the Shakespeare in it, but I don't have that pulled up. But I do have some sonnets and a lot of inept alliteration and all kinds of good stuff like that. So here we go. Okay. Okay. Now I don't know where to start. Here we go. I will start with this one. It's called Wrath. This is a Cottrill sonnet. Between abusers and abused, how am I to remain unmoved to mighty anger, poised as I am, as we all are, in a membrane around our wheeling house? Which situation lends me syzygy, locus, even focus, between Earth's core and our sun Sol, both fearsome heat sources. It's my heart feeling those tides, my tiny engine, inflamed as it stretches, cooked o'er fevers it cannot fathom nor ignore. Torture. A Cottrill sonnet for you guys. I have I don't know. Okay, I'm going to read this one. It's called I Ate a Violet. It's very very serious, okay? In a self admittedly stitched together anew in every instant, I say, nonetheless, there's a way not to enjoy the company of your own soul treasure, however evanescent it is. Way later, you might wonder how, but for now, there's no sense that knows what's missing is missed. Sitting still, I think I gradually knew that sitting next to me was the abyss and couldn't keep from falling in, a coil of gold unrolled inside, and I employed it to climb the fiber of a self revealed towards the pale stars in a world twilit. I ate a violet. I tasted a violet. Can I maybe read one more? Okay. Okay, this one is completely inscrutable. So you guys just, let it, I don't know, whatever. Okay. It's loosely based on a sonnet by E.E. Cummings. So forget it, But this one is called Dad, Grandma's Driveway. Love may be there as time is to living. Living means love eating, imagine it. Standing, smiling, beaming, love's loose giving, one yes day to remember against. Green leaf house happiness backdrop in spring. Before death you dealt, Dad, we had a day. Reality is a grinding thing, and you needn't, essaying, obey. When gladly I and other aperçu, doubts never submission to love's success of E.E. or a devotee, a one who adores syllables, never love obsessed, ever bowled over, no matter willing, endings bettering, younger guesses possessed. I will leave you there. I won't put you through more of that. Thank you.
That was lovely and brilliant, per usual. And so well crafted. I love how you choose which words to include, and you cut out a lot and craft it. I love that. And you said aperçu. I love that. Okay.
And although obviously it's a borrowed word from French, it is recognized as an English word, by the way.
Ooh,
Just
I
by
didn't
the
know
way.
that. Okay. I didn't know. Is Marianne Teft here? Katie Thompson? Rick Spisak, you're here.
As always, it's an honor, a great honor to be here among these fine poets. I offer you these little tributes, if you will. Here we go. This first one is called Banking Bounders Sound Defeat. Regulators away! Is that really clearly exactly what you need to say? Their pledge of honest banking may be tanking, come what may. Then watch them running out the back door, cashing, closing out their stockings before you'll arrive with Clive at the front. Sorry, Charlie, that dog just won't hunt. And those in their silver slippers, those silicon shivers flipping, hypno crypto dripping with that flash of cash and a digital flourish disappearing, leaving the bank's funds in arrearing. And the clerical surgical strike of those blinker bankers praying late into the night, and all those stunning, shunning banks, all in arrears just as you feared. That shocking fall after all. Are they still clear after the kill? Where? Damning federal regulators flourish unnourished banks, kanks, stank. Yet, my son, they'll now run for federal funds to guarantee the predatory thieves as they relieve you of that extra cash it stuns, smash, due to the cavalier casual banking, thankless belief. Good grief, the uncounted fountains of cash that all seem to disappear in a flash. The ones and zeros no longer the monger eels heroes, now reels just rounding off the zeros, and zeal to conceal, but the rounding bounders blunder repeat. Resound defeat as they steal from the poor and get to grind them off just a little more. Please bail out the banks, please, but leave the student loans alone. Continue if it's in you to grind the bones of those who yearn for knowledge and sought out college. To them, oddly, it must be confessed, no cash for you, undressed. Finally, in this mess, down ground just to the simple name of blame. And then this one, a tribute to all those who would censor, literature. Censor it, yes, please. And that that rascally fellow Da Vinci and Michelangelo. This is called It's the Books That Aren't There. That'll really get you, I bet you. The books that aren't did far more than scare him and cost him his job, the filthy, bloody gob. It marked him as a skylarkin. It wasn't a frog on a log that bit him. It was a governor reached down to get him. A picture of the stricture of liberty, school leery of tweaking the gub's cheery as empty library shelves that he showed himself and sent to the paper, the like bloody drawn draper. Publicity would do what publicity should. The picture went viral. There could be no denial. The governor saw the picture. It placed him and faced him in a stricture. He couldn't deny it. It caused him a sort of mental fentanyl riot. He reached out and grabbed right there. He nabbed him. This guy that went out and did a show and tell. He didn't yell. He didn't protest, probably or can guess arrest. He took a picture of empty library shelves. Gov demanded. He expanded. What the hell? Empty shelves? Must have been elves. Are you running for president? I sort of kind of resent it. Surrounded by rebellion, that damn statistician tried to tell him we raided her place, put guns in her face for telling the truth, this utterly contemptible baby Ruth. Besides, any book review shouldn't take more than 2 minutes requisite. The book needs any more study. What book? Right, buddy? This teacher is gone, no longer heeded or needed, and the firing squad at dawn. Yawn. But then again, soon enough they'll come. Can't you hear the beating of the numb, the bleeding and the beating of the dumb? He'll be the first president resident to strap on a gun. 45 calibers of fun. Then we'll see the line where I define exactly and impactfully where legislation exactly is mine. I'll draw the line with the barrel of my presidential pistola, like I like kind of actual controller. Ain't my humor drolla? I bet you $1 they won't hardly holler down there in Florida. I told you.
Wow. Wow. Thank you. That was trippy and psychedelic and, as someone said, slick and rhyming and rhyming and rhyming. It's wonderful. And I love how you pull from cultural events to make a collage of within that structure. That's really cool.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Is Amanda Maya here? All right. Well, David, are you ready to feature? Can I introduce you? Okay. And I've also got your links.
Nice.
I'm gonna grab this.
Mercy.
All right, here they go. Sorry for the delay. All right. Okay. Welcome. David Lee Sirois is a Canadian-American poet published 142 times in 24 countries. His work has been translated into 12 languages. I will not list them all, but they're there. He hosts Spoken Word Online, World Online, the Zoom continuation of Spoken Word Paris. His first collection is called Humble Doves, Poems to Pigeons and Plants. He won the 3rd prize in Winning Writers Wordle Flump Humor Poetry Contest. Sirois was honored for his contribution to world literature by the Fertile Brains Literary Group in India. There's more to say, but let's all welcome David. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Wow, I really appreciate being here. And we booked this over a year ago, folks, so it's been a pleasant, looking forward experience. All right, so I'm going to share my screen to start out, and let's see. My host powers are still there to do that. Okay. And here we are with the Dancing Shiva. And here we are. This was in the Bombay Review, as I'm trying to brag there with the subtitle. Still, a meditation on meditation. The dead can do it. From them I learned to be still and quiet. Still, my thoughts are loud. Still, I murmur in images. Still, there are minuscule movements I can't control when I sit still. Gentle tremble of hands, eyes, lips, and the mind's blizzard of pointed letters. In a not quite forgotten full lotus pose ritual, I begin to fill my body with an expanding soul, steeped in the whole of the whole, steeped in the spirit of the whole universe's blue lotus, one turning. Night unfolds the contours of her charcoal velvet blanket, and I sense my red magnetic spirit drawn toward you more than beforehand. Another movement I cannot control. My emptied hands reach for the circle of light you wear around your dancer's figure across the border river. Echoes of your evening teachings lightning on my inner night's horizon. Electric charges surge through your form, flicker in your liberated laughter and gentle maple sugar tones to flash truths before my heart's eye. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word is with you still. And this is an amethyst review you may want to submit to the focuses on spiritual stuff. Sonnet on otherness. My bones, my breath, my thoughts, my wants, my I, my me, my mind, I throw into the bright white fire of light that sways my spine. With power to reveal the real, even darkness can be kind. The night that will conceal and seal the shade in which all things can shine. Our air that burst both you and me and helped our hearts begin to beat is everywhere it needs to be, gives and yet remains complete. If I didn't have the sense of other, would I ever suffer? And these are by special request. I have a 260 pages of words literally written verbatim from dreams. His disciples buried him in the sweetest position. What is the nature of nature? Thanks for the window. It grows and flows and ropes around me. There's no abyss here, but it is said the man of moods knows one. We could be American Idols just because we're beautiful. Your mind will flood with shadows unless you're exactly the person you want to be. He goes to sleep with reasonable thanks for the good percent. It's not the phrasing of the age, it's the impulse of light. Just a jolt would change everything. A little bit of lightning is all you need. She doused all the fears she wanted. I hope she has an ocean. He knows he must get to the man of Acadia, so he goes. Okay, that's the end. The expected perspective is lost. Now come the shadows. Bennington taught me freedom. Existence is such discipline. They are very pleased about the award you received. We find in all his notebooks the beginning. It's virtual heaven with a sudden survive. Every time you see a mirror, you could look ecstatic, dream the attic. We are lit up bodies. We need care. I wouldn't mess with changes. The film Canvases in Paris is showing. Your poems, are they inspired by God? I love your dream lines. They turn logic upside down. Walk above the water. Everyone, hello from the Krishna Bridge. The long habit of wait. David's late. I know the view of our street has been slumbered. David's poetry always changes, but it's never ending. I find it so gorgeous to see. Let's move on into the week and the wake of friends. Absolutely, I was a genius who had fallen silent. She's an angel of repute, but he's a lion of dispute. How we grew up as human beings. It was about fields of energy. It was not about intellect. There was something about wheels in the human part of the show. Everyone looked for it in their childhood, but there's this one thing that follows. It's this constant grumbling. Is this the lightning that strikes me? And I'm going to come back to view for a moment, partly to show Butter the cat, who is in the house, but partly to be here now to read one of my poems to pigeons. Sorry, Butter, just one moment. She didn't like that. All right. Yes, Butter the cat is familiar to many. So I'm going to read a poem from Humble Doves, my little book of poems to pigeons and plants. And it goes like this. The state of automatic temperature regulation in select European marketplaces conference culminated with a big shebang gathering, feathers displaying welcome. Whole baguettes blessed sidewalks. Never again would birdsong be the same. In this metropolitan wonderland of man-made parks and wild concrete, Porte de Versailles convention organizers and catering corps complained these birds could be so finicky they favored the flavor of fresh madeleines. The streets were sweetened with continuous cooing, beak-to-beak encounters, small discussion clusters. The air was all a chatter and pavement a patter. Nothing mattered more than fallen crumbs. Yes, I'm learning to leave room for delight in my life. So I'm going to share my screen again. Instead of being, serious Sirois all the time, which can be frightful. So let's go here to the delightful poetry. Oh, did I just? Nope, right there. Okay, so we'll skip Pigeon Convention because we've been there. The Song of Solitude Community. One light and dark sky hovers everywhere to halo holy places and decrepit alike under crown jewel constellations scattered over the community of humanity. Magnanimous kindness of quiet stars for all global locals connected by a web. Anonymous earth dwellers, monks, merchants, medics, married lovers who make time to dovetail their own fingers in solitary prayer that paints the air, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. I fell in love with the silence of the soul that brings warm human intuition and reason to their knees in the never doomed domed temple of midnight Paris, Prague, Istanbul, Mumbai, Rio, Boston, Montreal, and all cities, towns, villages on the omnipresent ground, stage of the spoken word, changing face of earth. One light and dark sky hovers everywhere and pierces countless hearts of artists, open-minded midnight makers of scriptures, sculptures, pictures, symphonies that symbolize all human longing, feeling, seeking, wanting, prophesying the coming of greater inspiration still. In the company of saints and abundant, undaunted light. The well that gives to all is never empty, but forever replenished and replete with complete knowledge that slakes our thirst for light. We are waves of one unbounded sea of spirit electricity. I whispered into the well of the heart, met by minor echoes, resonance of a temporary rarity, contemporary sincerity, passionate search for the blue pearl in the private sky of the mind, sacred jewel, summit of the spirit, culmination of all meditation that holds the whole cosmos illumined in its contemplation, being conscious bliss. I sang into the listening air of midnight melodic prayers and murmurs of discouragement that disappeared in a sequence of seconds, but were stored in the sacred record of everything ever said, sung, murmured, whispered, or simply held in the mind for one minute minute. I wanted to howl, but softly sang raw, off-key questions that dissolved in sunlight, breakfast, chants, and meditation, followed by phone calls to pharmacies and family, plus electronic threads with prospective employers, while walled and windowed into snowstorm northern Maine morning, happily writing for nothing, obsessed with nothingness, and from time to time, looking for a living. Under the crested waves of frigid winds which populate the sky with pale crystals, I fell in love with the silence of the soul, though all night I'd intoned the echoed wisdom of weather from a radio speaker that repeated what I'd said into a lonely microphone tethered to towers that scattered my words to 500,000 satellite dish ears tuned into practical prophecies for the closest tenants of the planet. Hello, fellow citizens of the world. There is poetry opening everywhere. Myriad eyelids of panoramic vision that begins with the bandwidth of our own outlook. As always, the voice appears in dreams and spills spirit secrets that do not dissolve in daylight. Love helps all the work get done. It's virtual heaven with a sudden survive. God is the only thing that's real and holds the whole dream. Just a jolt would change everything. A little bit of lightning is all you need. Light is might. He threw a window at the sun. Our global open secret God in multicolored, many splendored solitude wears this world to clothe naked light in nature, weather, time, sky, and mind. hard to see what is behind our eyes. There is light behind the mind, whose only words forever are, I am, I am, I am. And we're back. Oh,
Oh my goodness. I can't even describe how wonderful that was and delightful, inspirational and mind-blowing and supernatural and all the things.
thank
Wonderful. Thank you.
you. It was good for me too.
Oh, good.
Thanks a lot.
Funny. Okay. That was awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we have Clive Oseman.
Let's try unmuting myself. That usually works. Okay, I'm going to do two. The first one is an old one, which has become, it's sort of got a second lease of life because Boris Johnson's back in the news. So I thought I'd sort of give it a go again. And for this, you have to imagine I'm David Attenborough. So you might have to close your eyes and then you'll really, really think I am David Attenborough, because my David Attenborough impression is nearly as good as my Queen impression. So you can imagine how good it is. So, okay, it goes like this. I've now muted the sound effects as I am actually in Great Britain, but the producer wanted to lure viewers with a taste for the exotic. Take a look at this. This very unusual creature, thought to be the sole specimen remaining on the planet, is the Boris Johnson. Scientifically known as Arrogantus masturbatus, it is thought to be a descendant of the obscure Defeffel, which was a creature expelled from the bowels of Satan. The Boris Johnson likes to appear as a cuddly, buffoon-like animal, and those who are fooled into believing this are prone to call it just plain Boris, or Bojo. It is not understood why Arrogantus masturbatus wears a mop on his head. Some say Donald Trump visited the zoo from which it escaped, and the creature mistook him for a normal specimen of its species and decided to mimic it, though this is disputed. Though there are undoubtedly some similarities, those who have studied the Boris Johnson say it is so sure of its superiority it would never mimic anything. The Boris Johnson does have some human traits, and in fact it can talk in English. One of the most intriguing features observed in it is that when it feels cornered, it starts blustering on in ancient Greek as a method of distraction. When this doesn't work, it hides in the nearest fridge. In Britain, it is seen by many as a saviour which protected them from the dreadful Jeremy Corbyn and got them a blue passport. But ever since it was discovered in the grounds of Eton, it has been clear to those with a brain that it is a nasty, duplicitous and dangerous thing which will do anything necessary to gain territory. Some commentators believe it is actually a mutation of a human being who spent too much time near a nuclear power plant, though, in my view, the Defeffel theory is the most likely. A creature crapped from the bowels of Satan who somewhere along the line had sex with a human being who would reproduce with anything seems the most logical explanation. Further studies need to be carried out, but one thing is for sure. This creature is not to be crossed. There is a document in existence of it arranging to have a journalist beaten up. Nothing too serious, just some broken ribs and what not. It is indeed a world-beating arsehole, to be approached with extreme caution. Do not be fooled. This is no playful buffoon. This is David Attenborough reporting from Westminster. So that's that one. That was a brilliant impression, wasn't it? I mean, you really would have known it was him if I hadn't told you, wouldn't you? Okay, and the second one is sort of new. It's actually one that I found unfinished in my sort of unfinished files, and I finished it. And it's a follow-on from the one I did called the bigger issues, where I ask all sorts of stupid questions, and like, is if music be the food of love, are cheese quavers an aphrodisiac? All that sort of thing. So this is the bigger issues, part 2. When I wrote the bigger issues, I thought I was done with stupid questions to which no one had an answer. But my recent reflections have brought to the fore even more ridiculous thoughts that I can't ignore. If you have 2 bunches of tulips, do you have 4 lips? If 2 people have arthritis, is it a full ritus, or are they different rituses? Did footballer Ruud van Nistelrooy call his kids vulgar and uncouth Van Nistelrooy? If so, which was the girl and which was the boy? Do posh people suffer from highbrow myalgia? And if they do, would they tell you, or just pretend to be common people? If Hitler only had 1 ball, why didn't he get one from the knacker's yard? Or was he not particular that he was singularly testicular? If an octopus is a cat, is an octopus a cat with just 1 life left? Is one that's used 1 fewer life called a septopus? How stressed would a cat get if it only had 1 life left? Is a hippopotamus that isn't trendy a squareopotamus? Is someone with flowers in their hair and a tendency to curse a hippopotty-mouth? Are melons just confused lemons? What is a crastinator? And is a procrastinator someone who earns a living crastinating, or just someone who is not anti-crastinator? As Americans call autumn the fall, why don't they call spring the get back up again? If you're told to break a leg before a performance but fail to hit the heights, have you sprained an ankle? If a person with the wrong idea is barking up the wrong tree, is a mistaken dog rapping in a monastery? And most important of all, if you must strike while the iron's hot, is that an excuse for creased up clothes? Because any scab crossing a picket line is certain to end up being loathed. Thank you very much.
Still laughing. Oh my gosh, what a riot. And the comedic genius, which is Clive Oseman. Yes, yes, thank you. Is Claire Bear here? Yay. Welcome.
Thank you. I didn't know if this was going to work because my service was seeming very sketchy earlier. So thank you very much for having me. I have a new piece I'd like to read. It's about Ruth Weiss. And if you're not aware of who she is, you should be. She was the first jazz beat poet. She hung out with all the boys in the club in the late 40s and early 50s in San Francisco. And this is a piece I wrote for her. Raw roar of Ruth Weiss, because war is bad for children. To be a German-speaking Jew and 10 years old in the 1930s was a barbed wire fence to cross. Do you go over or under? Any joy in escaping the horror caught on the wire of guilt, ripped, a gash of surviving, caught on the wire. Because war is bad for children. lost to occupation and chased across an ocean, clutching Grimm's fairy tales, and a broken beloved doll. A collage of cities, New York City, Chicago, and New Orleans is where she learned of San Franciscan fog. Because war is bad for children. Out of that fog, her voice, carried by beats and snaps, along with Kerouacs and Ginsbergs and icebergs of hidden machismo, floating in the 50s scene, cafes and bars and living rooms, this refugee with a need to be heard, but they don't publish girls. Because war is bad for children. Finally, a lifelong childhood began with words and paint and art and dress up. At last, a world of fairy tales and color. White is all colors. We all have the poem within us. The goddess is within us. The goddess is all colors. Because war is bad for children, raw roar of Ruth Weiss interrupted childhood. The evil scheme by a Nazi regime escaped a small poet who didn't understand why she was allowed to be alive. You are allowed to live. Why do you have green hair? Because war is bad for children. Thank you. I have one more. This was recently published in Ship of Poetry. And it's called Ship of Stone. Bear with. It's right here. I just gotta pull it up. Okay. Ship of Stone. You can make house into a home, but you can't make a ship out of stone. It's best to have a safe boat, but also to float. Like Icarus with waxen wings, he thought he understood these things. To err on the safe side, he met the tide. The call of the ocean is real. I completely know how you feel. Unless caution is taken, life could be forsaken. Our lives are like the sea, there is no guarantee. With the intent to protect and a fear of neglect, with the tide, let it go to the ebb and the flow. In life, it's understood. All our boats are made of wood. Thanks.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Words fail me again. That was so brilliant. And oh my gosh, just so good. I don't even have words. Well, can anyone else chime in and help? It was so amazing. Thank you. Thank you.
You, Amy.
Oh my gosh. Just wonderful delivery and everything. Is Raw E.M. James here? Okay. Susanne West? Yay. Welcome.
Okay, thank you. I should be reading this soon. Alrighty. This is a recent poem called To Let Ourselves Happen. We were taught to build a shrine to the mind that divides, boxes us into the finite, needs constant fuel to rule, the trance that crowds out beauty, simplicity, light, holiness, magic, the vastness, humility, love, the majesty of earth, of breath, of death, birth, endless sky, roaring wind, sighing wind, life-giving rain, spirit, matter, oneness, light, dark, oneness. Right, okay. If this trance is our God, we won't let ourselves happen. When we allow the mind to fly open, break the spell of the known, when we let ourselves happen, we will feel the kindness of light, hear poetry blooming in the spaces, restore the glimmers we knew as children, find our wild and free her, deeply know the pain and the blessings of the dark, be found by sacred silence, feel the trees hugging us back, see portals where once there were walls, feel the depth and breadth of the world wounds, and vow to help, bow to the simple here, let boundless wisdom guide us, may we let ourselves happen. And then I have one more here. So sorry, I didn't realize I'd be reading that soon. Okay, this is called To Listen is to Love. To listen is to dethrone the surface mind, be led by the silky hushes of sky, thrumming of roots, the blood, the sounds of blood, grows, the wings and tears inside words, the subterranean mind. Listening delivers us to the vastness at the core of everything. To listen is to love. When I don't listen to you, you become hollow, lonely. I hear anger steaming inside every word and the spaces between. We have listening wounds. We were dismissed at best. It's not our fault. We need to scream about it. Listen to our wounds. Listening graces the scars. Listen, feel how our words close when we are bitter. Listen to what's behind the fortress of thoughts. To listen is to bless. Listen to the other until there is no other. I am drawn to people who hear quiet things. The mountain wants us to listen the way she does. Thank you.
Wow, that was sacred speak. That was wonderful. So powerful. Thank you.
Thank you.
And now we have Alexandra Psaropoulous.
Thank you. I'm sorry I was late. It's the time. I wish Europe would change hour the same time as the United States. Line 11. And all I have is earth sun warming my horizons. Sweet Psyche, tender wings fluttering anxiously. For it is the flight that matters. Dragging my aging dreams. Persevering in all kinds of weather. reaching heights of Icarus, heights of the supreme. Each creation immortalizing mortality, keeping it alive. Creations blowing everywhere, through my eyelashes, through the skies. Flames and eyelashes becoming one. Scorching our weaknesses, guiding lost souls. When all I have is a dandelion pappus to blow. Seeds floating through the vortex to the cerulean ethers. For it is the flight that matters. Chasing my windy wishes. Releasing the nails of mental prisons. Drifting breaths of nature, breaths of freedom. Each ideal golden energy sent into pure light. Ideals blowing everywhere, through my heart, through the skies. Zephyr and heart becoming one. Subduing the ego to service the higher good. When all I have is efflorescence blooming in my garden. A farmer of senses cultivating the fruit of the gods. For it is the flight that matters. Picking my deciduous emotions. Turquoise showers reviving withered hopes. Chanting priestesses of protection, priestesses of safekeeping. Each inspiration soothing upheaval, melodious salvation. Inspirations blowing everywhere through my mind, through the skies. Incantations and mind becoming one. Blessed with the power of flowing divine energy. When all I have is paper and pencil for some simple words. Creating poetry between invisible gods and visible mortals. For it is the flight that matters. Rekindling my courageous verse. Grateful in defeat and victory. Dressing ideas in armor, ideas in silk. Each vision a sacred icon in my pilgrimage. Visions blowing everywhere, through my spirit, through the skies. Matter and spirit becoming one. Empowering our lives with universal fire. When all we have is the ray of a new dawn in a dewdrop. Light triumphing, heralding a new beginning. For it is only the flight that matters. Thank you.
So beautiful, magical, transcendent, inspiring. Love your artwork, all of it blending together, flowing together. Thank you. Is Rocco de Giacomo here? Henry L. Jones.
Hey, I am here. I'm sitting here enjoying everyone from our wonderful feature. Thank you again. Never heard him, never heard of him. So now I have someone else to enjoy. I'm Henry Jones, poet laureate of Hendersonville, Tennessee. Someone asked me, well, how come I don't tell people? I was inducted in 2021 and I'm still trying to keep poetry alive in my city. So I'm going to share two poems with you. The first one is titled, Man-Child Ready for the Promised Land. New man-child born, released from the folds of heaven, slipped past the flowing streams, baptized in tears and pain, erupted. But held in the arms of joy, dangling a cord of life to cut. Now walk on your feet, go run, go run. For the world's diamonds you can't possess, son. Chased after those shiny dreams and hopes. A systematic lure dangling in your crib, but you don't dare cross the lines once you get out there. Drugs hanging down on you, sex hanging down on you, the American dream hanging down on you. Blue beatings hanging down on you, self-hatred hanging down on you, systematic racism hanging down on you. A mobile of madness. To play with your little fingers. Reach, reach, reach for dangling dread. Now smile, my toothless angel, as you realize your naked flesh, pampered in soft lies for comfort, really doesn't prepare you for all the shit in life, or how pissed you'll become as the target marked flesh reveals the marks of shame, etched with dull knife cuts deeply all the words from this country and the world. You know the words and wear them proudly like tattoos when they call you and remind you to teach this child you ain't worthy. So this makes the newborn scream in terror, torn from the womb's comfort until nothing is heard but silence in the dark. His darkness bathing in a tub of hatred to baptize you from the sins you never did. Make you reflect in the mirror shallows of yourself, a self seeking a balm for the many cuts made by you or them. So you sit in this water. That bath tries to soothe your skin with a little Epsom for being what it is, just your skin, which doesn't seem to heal completely. Each wound found is a black hole, sucking life into nothingness, making you always feel empty. Even if you found someone to love, it's never enough. Blood or bone to make you believe you're alive and human instead of another sacrifice, an effigy to swing somewhere and hang somewhere and drag somewhere. Brought to the altar hoping to just live. Again, sacrifice, again, and again and again. How many more are needed? How many times must we be told this must be done? This is our history in this country. A bloody waterfall streaming to the ends of the earth, where the flat earthers play and applaud, where it becomes a crimson constellation to sprinkle into the orbits. And we hope that the colonists will not betray us in the dream of a better human race. Seen light years away, thinking this happened thousands of years ago, but no, it's still happening. That's the lens that is shown on us. As the black hole slurps all that color, all that madness, perhaps to form a new universe, a better world, to reveal a trait leading back to the beginning, to maybe show where and when the madness began, and maybe we can start over. Maybe that's all that's needed. And this is the universe in that child's mind, that man-child becoming and knowing who you are and not afraid to deal with so much in this world pulled from your bleeding cradle. Why must this newborn be burdened to decide whether to fight or die instead of simply living and playing as a newborn should do? Thank you. Man-child reaching for the promised land. I'm going to lighten it up. The other one was, let me lighten this up. Because the other poem was about the Ukraine. And like, so I will read Dig Deeply. And, you know, all of us have a family foundation, cultural foundation, some type of foundation that makes us who and what we are. And this poem, Dig Deeply. Root searching, reaching, looking to find those roots. Hidden treasures, sometimes buried and sometimes right there. Or over there, just look where you at, what you are, who you are. Branches long and strong. Tell you where you belong, how to sing your song, praises of love or lost. Falling onto the ground where those roots are found, tears of birth or death. Dig deeply, roots. Some for magic, others for memories, finding, grasping, seeing to discover links. Jewels cascading, diamonds glistening. You found them, love them, be them, grow and know them. Where you at, what you are, who you are. Branches long and strong. Tell you where you belong, how to sing your song. Those roots, now go sing. Thank you.
So powerful, Henry. So powerful. Thank you. Always so brilliant. Thank you. Sherry Hagen. Welcome.
Okay. I have a little poetry book that I made, Times of Connections. I compiled poems from my paintings and such. So I'm going to show some of my paintings and read some of my poems here. And this first one is Ascending. And it's about a friend of mine who died in her process of dying. Ascending, freedom, transition, release, new life. She'd been battling cancer for a while. She was also a mom to relatively young children. She was in her 40s. Her children were 11 and under. Very spiritual person. So I made this painting for her, and I'm going to move it a little closer. You can see little people in the trees. Those represent all the lives that she touched. So this is the death and life of Teresa. Waiting, communing, connecting with others is passing away. Friends watching, supporting, knowing that they will miss you more than they can bear. You have made a difference. Your work in life continues on after your death. Very spiritual person. And then I have a couple of poems that are actually songs, because I hear them in my head as songs, and if I would read them not as songs, they just wouldn't sound right. So these aren't based on paintings, but I was out in the garden and I started singing to my plants, and it's called Garden Blessing. Thanks be for the gift of thy harvest, thank you. You are bright and beautiful. You are lovely to see. Thanks be for the gift of thy harvest. Thank you. So I sing that when I'm out gardening. I sometimes sing that as I'm chopping up my vegetables, because it just makes sense, because, they're giving their lives for us and such. So, and then I had a dream, and in my dream, I heard a poem. I heard a song. So this one is Whom Do You Listen To? Inspired by a dream in December 2022. I was in the process of figuring out what the heck I was going to be doing. And so here you go. So whom do you listen to? Whom do you listen to? Whom do you listen to? There are some people who will bring you down, pull you back, tell you can't. Whom do you listen to? Whom do you listen to? Sometimes you have doubt, feel you can't, pull yourself down, you dig a big hole, give up a dream. Whom do you listen to? Whom do you listen to? There are some people that have your back, Want to succeed? Know that you can. Whom do you listen to? Whom do you listen to? It could be time to believe in yourself, make yourself shine, believe in your life. Whom do you listen to? Whom do you listen to? Embrace the chance, think like a star, be ready to shine, know that you can. Whom do you listen to? And I'm going to read one more poem because it was inspired by somebody else who'd read a poem earlier called Portal to Another Realm. Poised to enter the other realm, dancing on the edge of possibilities. What will be there? What will be found? I do not know. And there's a little tiny painted to go with it. I don't have the print, so I don't think people can see it real well. But anyway, I was inspired by one of the poems. So that's what I've been doing. And I like people to think after they read my poems. So I usually have a list of questions and descriptions and such when I put my shows together. And I'll post the links to a couple of the shows that I have.
Please do. That was so spiritual and inspiring. Beautifully done. Thank you. And beautifully
you.
sung. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you.
Lesley Constable.
Hello.
Hello.
Wonderful to be part of this. It's glorious. Okay, I'm going to read two. Just give me a second. I'm going to turn up my volume a little bit. First one, I'm going to read two older ones. And the first one is, it's about writing poetry. And it's called The Seated Cloud. The thoughts that come to you come into your head and rumble round or snake, insidious the ones, you know these thoughts, the ones that have shape, their own substance and form, image, even music, but cannot be given voice. Never that, because this asks too much. Too much, like clouds forming and shifting, disappearing and reforming. They are yours, fragile inside the workings of your mind, like when the sun hits cloud. Fragile, they are amorphous, unheard, and deeply, deeply private. These ghosts of thoughts, your ghosts of ideas that form, wanting birth, yet hide. Wanting, yet hide, waiting and want and wait and jeer sometimes these phantoms that cannot stand up to the proof of considered thought, that cannot stand up to language, that cannot exist in the light of day, but only in containment. Is that what your life is? Is that who you are? No one knows but you. They are the formation, your thoughts, of clouds. They are the beginning. They are the seeds, clouds becoming rain, or the easy words you say, words without clouds when the sun is right up there, bold and overhot in the sky, even though you are in shadow. These words you say, forming them with your mouth, your tongue, your lips. Is this you? We can falsify, we can deny, we can withhold, hold deep into us those truths which have no form, but only words, or which have only form and not words, or words that won't form, and wait until forever for the true thoughts, override them with chit-chat, with the mundane, the inane. There is that moment, yes, when the weight of necessity, the weight of insistence, the weight of our own truth, the need to get these damn things out of our heads and finally deeply say, speak, talk, write, scream, get out, get out, get out, shapes, the constructs, the towers, the rivers, the pyramids, our islands, the bridges, explode them all and talk, write, be, make the bridge, fuse them. Private ideas, public talk. You are the seated cloud. You are the rain. Make us all wet. So the next one is, she's sort of a sad poem. It's an older one too. And It's about when I lived in the desert. I lived in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and going to be visiting there again soon. It's one of my 3 beloved places on earth. So this one's called Desert Song. You became unsettled the moment you saw the birds. I don't know what it means. Is it a strange death, a foreboding that passed across your face like a cloud? Unsure of yourself, unsure of the longing in your heart or loss? Things not said, not understood, the longing painful as a plum stuck in your throat, too tart to swallow or spit out. Or is it just me looking too hard at you and not the birds or the sky? Not me paying attention to the soft wind, the steady warmth of the sun? Is it me or not me? I am never sure. As we walk together, our feet kick up the rough stones. The ground is brittle and hard worn out from not enough. Desert spikes hidden from your step will embed themselves in your soft feet if you walk wrong. Imagine something else. Imagine a softer place, a place where there is song, even at night, and the breezes blow. Join me there. I am not frightened. They begin, the birds, by flying fast, almost too fast, a line across our vision, a momentary absence of light. They double back, troubled, unsettled, but in formation. They stay together and leave and leave and leave. That's it for me, thanks.
What a beautiful journey. You took us on 2 different beautiful journeys. Thank you. Thank you. Wow. And we have Anjetta Williams now.
Hi, everybody. How's everybody doing this evening?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good.
I got 2 shorties. My first poem is featured in my very first poetry book, and my book is entitled Pieces of Andrew, Poetry from My Soul. And the title of this one is Like a Phoenix. This poem would tell you who I am. Like a phoenix, I rise when least expected. I rub through the volcanic ash with a falcon speed, wings glowing with embers of amber, reds and oranges, unscathed, unskinned, singed, unstoppable. With the eyes of an eagle, the cunning of a fox. But like a phoenix, I rise from the dead, reborn, renewed, and better than before. Catch me if you can. You can't kill me. Try to keep me down. Like a phoenix, I'll always rise again. And the next one is an inspirational poem. It's dedicated to anyone that's going through something, whether it's emotional, physical, or anything. Okay, it's called Cause God's Got You. Though your way may seem hard now, the road may seem rough and rocky. The world may seem like it's falling in on you. Don't worry, don't fret, because God's got you. God will lift you up on wings of eagles. You will run and not get weary. Don't look at your surroundings with fear, because God's got you. You can walk through the shadows of death. You can walk through adders and not be bitten. You will be held up on the right hand of righteousness, because God's got you. No matter what you're going through, no matter what you will be going through, nothing will conquer you, because you are more than a conqueror, because God's got you. That's it for me.
Thank you so much. So passionately delivered, beautiful spiritual message. Lovely imagery too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome anytime. Is Daniel Speers here?
I am here, yes.
Wonderful. Thank you.
very much.
Welcome.
I am Dan Speers. I'm the Poet Laureate of Haverhill, Massachusetts, Here in the bosom, the birthplace of American poetry. The first poet in America was published was Anne Bradstreet, and she was from here in the Merrimack Valley, where the home of John Greenleaf Whittier, Robert Frost. My farm is midway between Robert Frost and Whittier's farm. I can go 8 minutes in either direction to either farm. But I want to tell you about a time when I first began. It's called Lilies. Suddenly, I was me. I was there, aware, knew I was me, thinking I knew I was thinking, knew others were sad, but not me. I was thinking about something pleasant, something sweet I sensed as I breathed, something sweet, something not part of me, a scent I sensed, I smelled a scent, flowers it turned out. Flowers, the scent of flowers, the taste of flowers. Later, I learned they were lilies. Flowers, lilies, and there I was. Suddenly, I was 3. Pearl, my great-grandmother, was 103. Funny thing about this memory, it simply begun. I mean, I wasn't there, but then quite all at once I was. Sentient, conscious, aware, not before, then, me, smelling flowers. I do not know what came before, but there I was, not surprised I was there, that I wasn't alone. Pearl was there, smiling, lying there in her coffin, smiling, and there I was, me, the new me, all dressed up, shirt tucked in, short pants, bow tie, shoes and socks. Someone picked me up, set me on a bench. I leaned over the old lady in the casket. I touched her face. I don't know why, but I cried. And someone took my hand, grasped my waist, lifted me higher, high over the lady, to better see, I think. Grandmother Myrtle, she's the one who held me in her arms, handed me a lily, a white lily for Pearl, she said. Purity, she said, say goodbye to mother, my mother, your mother's mother. She said, telling me softly, so softly, to kiss her. Kiss Pearl, she said. She's gone to rest. Kiss her goodbye. And I did. I kissed the cheek of the smiling lady, the old lady in the coffin who had gone to rest. I laid my lily on her chest, my mother's mother, Myrtle's mother, my great-grandmother, great-great-grandmother. And I knew, though I didn't know why I knew or how I knew, but at that moment, that was when Pearl died. Pearl died when I kissed her cheek. When I said goodbye, I laid the lily on her chest. They closed the coffin, and some men came, carried her away, and they put her in the ground, in the coffin, in the ground with my flower on her chest, the lily. Today came, one day and lots of days. It's rained some of those days. Today there's sunshine, the flowers in the garden, boast aromas that dance around the maypole and scent the breeze. Scents that make sense to bees, the porch setting. Older me, I guess. Saw Pearl, I was sitting in her lap. Pearl, me and her cat. Old lady smell, talcum and apple pie. Cat smell of eider down. She was stroking my hair with a silver brush. A gift from Suter, she said. Had curly golden locks like yours, she said. Long golden curly locks. He's gone, you know, long since dead. Fall came, flowers died, lilies. I'm older now, not nearly as old as Pearl, though I am short of breath to summon again. A joy jolt of rye keeps an old man's smell at bay. Hair turned white, forget exactly when, no longer long what isn't gone, but it's enough left for my grandson's baby to tangle in her fingers. Sitting here rocking, thinking about Pearl, holding my grandson's baby, and her cat. Cat smelled like lilies in the garden. Reminds me, I kissed Pearl goodbye. I said this before, so it's likely true. It's been stove up in my head since I was 3, when I smelled the lilies, and when I became me, suddenly me, it's sure enough stone cold written rock truth that no one ever really dies, not until we kiss them goodbye. Not until we let them go. That is when they die. That's when their scent goes, when the new begins. But lilies, they are always there, you know. Lilies. Thank you.
What a wonderful storyteller you are. The beautiful memories woven, so brilliant imagery, so wonderful, moving, everything. Thank you so much. Now we have Nayma Chamchoun.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Pacing poets. I gazed into the fields and blades of grass, and my bones felt the cold. At Wordsworth's cherished crowds, densely adrift as the wayfaring clouds, and of Brooks' eternal England, I searched sorrowfully for the strand that could tie my restless hand to belonging and the end of longing. The crisp air greyly blurs the awning, dimming the warmth and staining the sun's vivacious gold. In Shakespeare's Eden, the apple eaten and the sins repeatedly died for, buoyed by Blake to ride thoughts sore, the wings heavy and lackadaisical, craving the heights of the astrophysical, dawn song that sang of the metaphysical, of exploding color and scorching heat, the light's verve, coaxing easy release, quenched by alpine streams softly seeping. Browning's Amma of April brings but icy showers, which douse and deaden the embers. Still, the senses longingly remember the thoughts of home abroad, where the heart Titianly thawed and the spirit sprawled in awed. The shepherds of Rossetti who save, seek the flock that in turn saves, as they herd the arduous days and hours. The disturbance of Eliot's spring disturbs from deep within, her shades paled and grey like granite, as silver stealthily bleeds out the night. Where are the mornings whose chorus awakes, the birdsong that reaches the ear and makes one rise from their bed to cheerfully embrace each tiny tick of the calculating clock, the beats that race and breathlessly stop at the trailing voices in the air, cajoling the song bliss brings, affronted by Larkin's bespectacled smirks, pulling up life's net and gross worth, desecrating the temple of the earth as they profit and pass on expense without conscience or penitence. Still, your presence arms defense, the oration that speaks life into living, the company of the heart's thanksgiving, the joysome jinna of poetic converse. Thank you. Second poem is a shorter one.
Nayma, you're frozen. Okay, we'll come back.
She's just so cool.
I know, right? Oh my gosh, articulate and just atmospheric, just wonderfully brought through there. Sorry. Now we have Eike Waltz.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you. Thank you, David. It was great listening to you. I enjoyed it. Thank you very much. UNESCO adopted the 21st of March as World Poetry Day in 1999 with the aim of supporting linguistic diversity through poetic expression and increasing the opportunity for endangered languages to be heard. Since last Tuesday was World Poetry Day, I like to read a poem by a Romanian immigrant, Delmore Watts, 1913 to 1966. He was a respected peer and friend of John Berryman, Robert Lowell, and teacher of Lou Reed of the rock band Velvet Underground, who credits him in his tribute essay as the person who inspired him to write. The Heavy Bear Who Goes With Me is one of Schwartz's best-loved poems. Its central image of the inescapable bear is highly evocative and yet resists a simple interpretation, hence my tonality. The heavy bear who goes with me. The religious philosopher Alfred North Whitehead called it the witness of the body. I call it when the body speaks. The heavy bear who goes with me, a manifold honey to smear his face, clumsy and lumbering here and there, the central ton of every place. The hungry, beating, brutish one, in love with candy, anger, and sleep. Crazy factotum, disheveling all, climbs the building, kicks the ball, boxes his brother in the hate-ridden city. Breathing at my side, that heavy animal, that heavy bear, who sleeps with me, howls in his sleep for a world of sugar, a sweetness intimate as a water's clasp, howls in his sleep because the tightrope trembles and shows the darkness beneath. The strutting show-off is terrified, dressed in his dress suit, bulging his pants. Trembles to think that his quivering meat must finally wince to nothing at all. That inescapable animal walks with me, has followed me since the black womb held, moves where I move, distorting my gesture, a caricature, a swollen shadow, a stupid clown of the spirit's motif, perplexes and affronts with his own madness, the secret life of belly and bone, opaque, too near. My private, yet unknown, stretches to embrace the very dear with whom I walk. Without him near, touches her crossly, although a word would bear my heart and make me clear. Stumbles, flounders, and strives to be fed, dragging me with him in its mouthing care. Amid the 100 million of his kind, the scrimmage of appetite everywhere. Thank you.
Wow, that was so beautiful and historical. And I love the opacity of the skin and the description of everything. It's just beautiful. Thank you. And now we have Leonard Luntdh. Oh, wait. Before we do that, I'm so sorry. Nayma is back and wants to finish her second poem.
Yeah, it's just 2 short poems.
Oh, no worries.
Words. I love language and the flourish of freedom it gives to paint colourful pictures of us, doing a dance of the veils for us, eventually exposing our most honest selves. Still, language also sometimes seeks to chain the masses' minds, like a portrait of Dorian Gray, the corruption hidden away, hiding the jaws of the greed that feeds their rueful, rotting minds. Thank you. And the last one is just, again, just a short one. And I glance at people to see if they might faintly resemble you. How strange that anyone could ever have a single cell of you. How strange. And I breathe in deeply, desperately, just to catch a sniff of you. Derange, that the air could love another's aroma more than the scent of you. Derange. And I listen ever so closely just to hear the timbre of you. In vain, that the ear could hear the roll of the tongue of you. In vain. And I spray you on my wrist, and the heart flames because of you. Sweet pain, that I replay the moments captured by the phone of you. Sweet pain. Thank you.
Wow, thank you. Wonderful imagery, well crafted. So well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
And now we have Leonard Luntdh.
Thank you, everybody. It's been
Okay.
a great afternoon. Great afternoon. There's a statue in a park in Paris, topped by the bust of some famous writer. And the unnamed but larger than life woman, seated casually at the foot of the pedestal, is said to be a swooning muse. Or perhaps this is in London, or New York, or Madrid, since old days and older ways are scattered everywhere. Ghosts of a battle they don't know they've lost. Wherever, she looks more bored than awed, more wife to a blathering husband, one who puts a roof over her head in exchange for selfish sex. It's harder to know about the trio in the background. Anonymous, featureless, young girls in white with their backs turned to the past as they walk towards the shadowed woods of choices not yet cast. Hard, but one may hope, one may dream. Leavings. After the chaos of battle, when the silence is gigantic and the birds return from hiding, after the wounded are tended, treated and taken away or freed from pain forever, after the captain rides to the rear, making his report to the colonel who will let the general know, the dead call for us to gather them, to separate them and identify them for the benefit of those they've left. They call for us to gather belongings, to bear witness that these shattered were once whole, heard, thought of. And they leave behind photographs of those they were called to leave, along with final letters never mailed. And last, the old man takes a walk. Winter has settled in, extra blankets covering the bed to ward the snow lying on the land. The old man bundles, calls his dog to join him for the daily walk along the canopied lane to the road and the village. On the way, lost in thought, he stops to watch a young woman move among the birch, long skirt brushing the dappled white clearing where hares dance in and out of sunbeams. They draw a maze of prints where she, a memory of different seasons and a different time, cannot. Part of them will always be here, even as he moves on. Thank you all very much.
Wonderful imagery, such a wonderful storyteller, and everything was so vivid, so vivid. Thank you. Now we have Deborah Burris-Kitchen.
Yes, I'd like to read two if I have enough time. I don't know if there's anyone after me, but we'll
There
see.
is. There is Safongo.
Okay, so I'll just read one because I don't want to take up someone else's time. This one's titled August 7th, 1960. My mom gave birth to me while my father stood at the pulpit preaching the parable of the divided kingdom, Matthew 12:24-30. I was born in a rural area outside of Indianapolis, Indiana, a town with one stop sign and smelled of fertilized feed corn, far removed from the civil unrest of our nation's South. In the 1960s, blacks marched carrying signs saying, "We all bleed one color." And if you are tired of hearing about racism, imagine how tired people are of experiencing it. Blacks opposed segregation and the denial of their fundamental human rights, only to be hosed, beaten by attack dogs, or bitten by attack dogs, beaten, lynched, and shot in the back by the KKK and the police. Often the men in blue and those wearing white hoods shared the same last names. Once assaulted over and over while non-violently protesting, blacks were pushed into combat to defend themselves from the dogs being unleashed on them and ripping their flesh out with each bite. From being beaten to death by clubs at the hands of the police, from being hosed by firefighters and left for dead on the streets. From the north to the south and the east to the west, buildings set on fire made it hard to tell if it was night or day. From New York to LA, Birmingham to Chicago, children were blown into pieces as churches were bombed. Leaders who supported equality and justice for all were assassinated. The children and organizers of the opposition who died are now viewed as heroes and saints. I remember my father's prayers on Sunday mornings for peace. I remember watching the tears run down his cheeks as the radio announced the death of 4 young girls as the result of the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing and the announcements of the assassination of Evers, JFK, Malcolm, Hampton, and King. Barely in double-digit years of my life during the 1960s and 50 years has passed since, memories of the violence are distant and not too clear, but I do remember watching the violent beatings of blacks by men dressed in military fatigues and police uniforms on a tiny black and white TV. People demanded equal protection, voting, and civil rights. Blacks marched, sat at lunch counters for whites only, and sang, "We shall overcome," only to get beaten down with nightsticks and tear gas. Many blacks bled out and died too soon. Black militants were shot by white men filled with hate, fear, and anger, demonstrating no moral compass or any sign of empathy or compassion. History shows us that with bravery and painstaking intent, we can overcome oppression and hate. Let's get those signs back out. Let's keep taking a knee. It is not too late. The 1960s obligated us to enter the battle to protect our democracy and human rights, and to critically think about our history of animosity based on race. We still live in a world with too much bloodshed based on the color of one's skin. Ask the mothers of Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, Tyre Nichols what they think. I could list the 225 other blacks killed by the police in 2022, but what good would that do? It can't bring these beautiful souls back to us, so what would be the use? But never let us forget them, nor alter or bury the truth. We elected a black man to serve 2 terms in the White House, yet still being stopped for a minor traffic violation when you're black justifies the police shooting you in the back, beating you to death, or forcing their entire body weight with their knee to your neck. While you cry, "I can't breathe," or call your mother, or plead, "Please don't shoot me." Resistance to power comes with the smell of black death and white blood-stained hands. Many mothers pray for their black sons and daughters they had to lay to rest too soon, while others are silently dying from the heart that was wrenched out of their chest as they heard the news about their child's senseless and untimely death. Picking up an article of clothing, inhaling one last smell to remind them, even God can't protect their black children from this country's over 400 years of white sin. I pray deadly for mothers who had to bury their children's mutilated bodies. I pray for young black men and women who walk while black or drive while black. I pray they don't have a chance encounter with a white whose reaction to their fear and loathing of a black man or woman is to beat them until they take their last breath, taser them until their heart stops, or put a bullet in their head. Please, Lord, don't let them kill another young black brother or sister today. Although I don't remember the 1960s revolution like the raging water in the river that rushes to feed the sea, runs through my veins like it is still the 1960s. Thank you.
Thank you for those stories of our tragic history that we share. And it was so powerful. Thank you. A lot of detail that needs to be brought forward. Now we have Sifungo.
Hello, everybody. Hello,
Welcome.
hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well. Thank you very much. David, that was really beautiful. Thank you very much. I'm glad I came in today. Thank you very much. And everyone else, thank you very much. I'm gonna share 2 poems today. Both from my first book, Trials. We'll share the details after this. So this one is titled As the Sun Goes Down. As the sun goes down, the shadows unite. In the other hemisphere, we are touched by new light. But the sun sets for the vendor, he ain't done yet. The chips he made all day couldn't feed his son yet. Day to day, he dodges trouble, thought bubbles for ideas to lessen the trouble. Tomorrow remains a puzzle. He's living for the moment. His wife is on the go to, no energy for romance. His uncle in hospital, they stabbed him in the alley. The shadow of death has been walking in the valley for a t-shirt of a party that he got from a rally. The man he voted for is sleeping in Parliament. The salary they get is changed to the leaders, yet they still believe that change is through the leaders. The revolution was sold out to the highest bidders, dribblers, and murderers. Educated brains tied within the chains of capitalistic gains. These are cannibalistic aims, humans swallowed alive, zombies walking like zombies dead. The sun sinks, but it will rise. We have our lows to know our highs. Someone's born when someone dies, so our prayers reach the sky. This next poem is titled Scum. I wrote this on the 15th of August, 2020. Wow, nice. Everything is a Ponzi scheme, from the live news on the TV screen. White girls turn black girls, bleaching skin. We sit to watch colleges diminish dreams. Controlling perceptions, applying the law with exceptions, genetic engineering and loaded injections, missing links and misdirections. See, everything seems like a scam, even the hugs from your fam, even the DJs on the show want you to pay so they can play your jam. She thinks love can be shared on the gram, so she will strip and twerk on cane. He's into sniffing a kilogram, and for $1, he can kill your grain. Until the day we awaken to reclaim what was taken, stabilize all that is shaken, rediscover the forsaken. And though our hearts have been aching, in the midst of the smiles we've been faking, I can feel these cases are breaking like they just went through a coup in heaven. Peace, power to you. Thank you.
Peace and power to you too. Thank you so much. Just so wonderful, the rhythm and the rhyme and the storytelling, just wonderfully powerful. Thank you. Would anyone else like to read? We good? Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to read like one because it's getting...
Might read one if there's time.
Oh, sure, Greg. Mm-hmm.
I just added, I didn't sign up, so.
No worries.
I got a couple of short ones. Maybe I'll just do a couple little short ones, not to take up too much time. This one, I'll just read the first thing, the last thing I wrote. It's called Good Lord Willin'. I saw the mama cat outside my window this morning. It reminded me of the sort of ongoing conversation I have with a kind of ignorant philosophy that seems hard to ignore these days. One where we don't need no help from nobody. When one never gets any help from nobody, this can be easily espoused, painting one's own neglect as a sort of ruggedness, as a matter of pride or tradition, like Whitman with a bad attitude, a sort of bullshit form of freedom where everyone does for themselves. There it is, isolated and sounding a little great again. And Mama Cat does for herself. See, though, she's tired and hungry. She's got a mighty burden from what one could call being free. Free to starve, free to die, free to live with disease inside. The tomcat has a better fit in this, with only his own self to look after, free to breed and hunt and sleep. Tell me that's not a redneck's dream. While mama waddles around doing what needs to be done, growing old while raising the young, as free and hungry as one can come. Back to the pride of their looking so rough. Maybe cats are in fact not meant to be pretty boys. Perhaps it doesn't matter to them. That when I see them, I can only think, poor thing. I think it thinks it's free, but it's so limited from the environment it's living in, so scared it won't even face me to take what I've got for giving it, sneaking to steal away before any meds could be administered. The way of the stray reminds me of the truth, both beautiful and sinister, how freedom has a different taste in summer than it has in winter. We are out of rhythm with these even days, when the difference has been perfectly withered, and may soon be to be sprung another round of freedom for Tom, and for Mama, another litter. Thank you.
Greg. Thank you. Wonderful story. And I love the wisdom that you bring to everything you write. Thank you.
Thank you for squeezing me in.
And thank you to your puppy.
Yeah, he's been trying to help. Sorry.
No worries.
Otis, you're on the Zoom. You're on the Zoom. You're on the Zoom, Otis. This is the culprit.
Oh,
that's the one. He wanted to say hi, I guess.
Thank you.
Thanks, all.
I'm just going to read one because we're going pretty long here, and then everybody's we've had a lot of things going through us. I'm going to read one called True Love. The heart has to shine, not hide. When I breathe, tectonic plates shift deep inside. Water wrinkles with light and waveforms. Ocean and lake, silver rivers all lap the shore. New Zealand blues, we are all home under the same sky, same sun. Breathe in light and darkness, they are equal. Bumblebees are sleeping still as true spring has not arrived. On midsummer mornings, I found them sleeping in the flowers. The universe is a system of systems, language of languages. Every atom, every molecule sings its song. We only have to listen deeply to translate a new ancient rhythm. Licorice midnight sky abounds with infinite stars. Spirits of bumblebees visit us, remind us, respect instead of poison. Crickets out of sync would never happen. They sing the bright world all night. Nature of freedom, freedom of nature. Music of the spheres is true reality. Industrial magnates, long forgotten moral centers, pull out from the planet what profits them. No respect, no respect. Austerity for most while some get rich, just gotta flip. Heart song, love songs that are true. Frogs orbit the moon when they dream, in and out of water and science. Water sustains us. We are made of it. We poison our love, our water, only to hurt ourselves. Consuming the earth, nurturing the earth as good stewards instead, sweet animals we eat instead of revere. How do we speak this world into a better existence? What is the spell that stops brainwashing the status quo? She is equine. She leads us. It should be women and children leading us to true love, after all. Thank you. Oh my gosh, you guys, David, everyone, such wonderful poetry this afternoon. Fabulous, powerful stories today. So happy to be here. Thank you so much. David, do you want to say something?
Just thank you very much, very much for listening and for reading along. Yeah, it's a deeper thing that we can do now on Zoom. So anyway, I really appreciate your attention. Thanks.
Wonderful. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Amy.
Wonderful spiritual stories, all kinds of wonderful stories today. Thank you. Oh gosh, have a blessed evening.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Amy. You too.
Yeah, thank you, Amy. Thank you
Thanks,
very much.
Amy.
Thank you. We're back on
Thank you.
April
Thank you, Amy.
22nd. Thank you.
Everybody have a great
Appreciate
weekend.
you.
You too, Henry.
Well done, Amy.
Oh,
Bye-bye.
thank you.
And David, thank you for being.
Mhm.
That's awesome.
Thank you.